we can talk. Very good morning, every one of you, especially our chief guest, our respected chairman, the managing trustee, faculty members, and students of Adithya School of Business Management and other institutions. ASBM, under the auspices of its Center for Techno Management, organizes a two-day workshop on the ERP best practices in the global business environment. So in a nutshell, in an introduction, so you would have heard, like why do some companies succeed while others fail? Especially like Nestle, Walmart, Ford, BMW, Tata, the world's most popular businesses been able to consistently outperform its well-managed rivals. The strategies to manage their enterprise resources that the companies manage and the managers pursue have major impact on its performance relative to their competitors. ERP is the task of re-engineering of organizations and its transformation process to design new business models, deliver and support with enhanced resource management system, improving efficiency in business processes through effective operations management and decision making, designing the company's structure, control system, and also their culture, more importantly. This workshop is designed to have eminent personalities like Dr. Fred from Personiv, the Executive Vice President of Personiv, and also another eminent person tomorrow will be addressing on the technical side from Singapore. So he is from the banking and service sector, and we are going to have more. And this afternoon, we are going to have the world-class case studies, live case studies like BMW, Benz from manufacturing side, the other side, insurance, Reynolds, and many other Shirin Corporation, like you have Black & Decker. Likewise, more number of case studies are going to be discussed with the different teams in this afternoon and tomorrow afternoon as well. This 2 days workshop, it's going to be more lively and going to be more hands-on, and it's the whole purpose of this workshop is to make use of this pandemic for your better learning. For that purpose, we have organized this 2 days workshop. With a small introductory note, I would like to welcome our chief guest of today's program and this workshop inauguration program, Rotarian Dr. Fredricks John, who is ASBM's industry advisor. And we would like to thank you, Dr. Fred, for accepting our invitation and his humble acceptance on our invitation to become our advisor, industry advisor. First of all, we would like to thank you and congratulations to you, sir, for being part of our team. And we would like to have more and more from you and your team and supports. And also the mentorship. Your mentorship is so much expected for our institution. Now you are part of our institution and we are part of you, and we are so happy, and it's our really great privilege and pleasure having you with us on this auspicious occasion. And Dr. Fred is an Executive Vice President and Director of Personiv, and he's a Rotarian of Coimbatore, who has also got his executive leadership training from Harvard Business School, the renowned Harvard Business School recently, who is also the member of NASSCOM and National SME from the National SME Council, member of Institute of Directors, IOD. And he has got more than a decade of experience from the leader as well as to executive vice president in Personiv. Before that, he has also got good experience from Wipro as a team lead, group leader, into business processes and operations. And recent learnings from the HR human resource management side, you have learned from the classes that how to optimize resources at the HR, strategic HR. You wanted to just learn what is offshoring of business and on-site businesses, and also we call it as business process outsourcing. All those you have learned it, not only just doing it in your own place to bring effectiveness and efficiency, you wanted to give it out to countries like India, like US people, they give it out to India, Filipinos for customer service, and so many other technology-driven countries for better performance and to sustain in the business world. So in that, we have that eminent person who has got a lot of experience globally as well as from India especially, and he is also a great sustainable business developer. And Dr. Fred also has got his doctorate in business administration and management from the renowned Commonwealth University. And he has also got his MBA, and another specialty is Master of Arts in Personnel Management, Human Resource Management. With all these credentials, and he is the apt person to inaugurate this function and facilitate and grace this occasion. We would like to welcome you, sir, for this occasion, and it's over to you now.
Thank you, Dr. Sundar. How are you, everyone? Sitting at home, but still engaging yourself on a Ramzan morning. Eid Mubarak to all the brethren out there. Good to see you, smiling faces this morning. It's always a pleasure to mingle among younger people and share the knowledge that I've gained over the past 20-25 years in my career. Because the future is with you. You are our future. And I feel that if we give the right impetus to you while you are at college, I'm sure we can make a lot of difference when you get into corporate life. Thank you, Dr. Sundar, for having me over here to inaugurate the two-day workshop on ERP best practices in the global business environment.
Thank you, sir,
I'm
for
really
accepting our invitation and being part of our institution, especially ASBM Adithya School of Business Management as the industry advisor. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I would like to just touch upon, because I'm sure you know Dr. Sundar has lined up eminent personalities throughout the day today and tomorrow to talk to you in detail and touch upon the technical aspects of enterprise resource planning. What I'm going to talk about is a few instances from my experience where we touched upon this resource planning even before it became a cliche or a term widely used globally to represent the software and systems it has become right now, instead of the simple planning it was a couple of decades back. So when I started my career, it was with Jenny's residency in Trichy. I don't know how many of you know that the current Jenny's Club here in Coimbatore started off as Jenny's residency in Trichy long time ago. And I joined there in 2006. I used to report to a supervisor called Mr. Ganesh. And he was so humble, down to earth, soft-spoken, matured. He would be, equipped to handle any given situation. As you all know, there will be different kind of customers that come into any hotel, for that matter, and he would be there, always smiling, greeting guests, solving problems, and there used to be frequent visitors or guests to the hotel. Some of them have been coming twice every month and staying there for a couple of days, and all of those guests were his friends. Today, after 25 years, I still see Mr. Ganesh at Jenny's residency with the same smile. He's now managing the entire operations of that hotel, although it's changed names now, but he's still with the same property, handling the same guests that come to Trichy. In fact, his clientele has increased over the past years, but he's still there, smiling, handling every situation, and bringing more business to the hotel and building the client relationship. Now, when you look back at those years that I was involved in there, We were about 20, 25 people in the front office. And why should this one person stand out? And what did the management do to retain him for so many years? And what has it given back to the management? By making sure that this one Mr. Ganesh was well looked after, given the right training, put in the right places at the right times, they were able to retain him. And in return, they got very good business, happy customers, and they are able to sustain, even though they changed names and changed hands, they were able to sustain with the same clientele for, as far as I know, 25 years or more. Now, let's fast forward a couple of years to 2002 when I joined Wipro BPO in New Delhi. BPO was just booming at that time, and Spectramind was the name of the company I joined. That was bought by Wipro within 3 or 4 months of my joining. Not many people know that I started as an agent on the phones. I used to handle telephone calls from US customers, solving their technical problems, connecting to the web. Not many of you would be aware of 56K dial-up modem, because we are all used to 4G and LTE right now. 2002, we only had modems that will dial out to a particular number and connect to the internet, and the speed will be like, it's nothing compared to what we have today. There's a difference of a lightning strike or a lightning year between what we have today and those years. So I was on the phones helping people in America, trying to help them connect to the internet and read their emails or browse the internet and all that. And one instance I remember was there was a person who called me who was new to computers and internet and wanted to connect to the internet. And he said, I switch on my computer and nothing happens. So I asked him, have you installed the software that helps you connect to the internet? He said, what software? I said, did you receive a CD? What do you mean CD? So that's how ill-informed or illiterate people were in terms of internet and computers in the US in 2002. And I'm talking about rural America, cities, all of that stuff. It's the same scenario. So that guy pulled out a few, envelopes that he received from the mail, and he said, yeah, I have one which says AOL, and that was America Online web browser that helped them connect to the internet. I said, yes, you need to open the package and take out a little thing called a CD, which has a hole in the center. It's a circular disc, which he did, and he didn't know where to insert it. And while I was talking to him, trying to help him figure out what a CPU is, what a monitor is, what is disk reader is. So when I came to that point, he said, "Oh yeah, that's where I keep my coffee mug." So he had pulled out the CD holder and put his coffee mug into it. That's where I started my career. But in 3 or 4 years down the line, um, I used to get the most toughest calls ever possible. People were able to connect, but they got disconnections and they could not figure out what was the reason. And within the 4 years, we had moved from a dial-up modem to DSL connection and then a cable connection, something similar to what we have today, the fiber optic cable. So Time Warner was doing the cable business in America at that time. So one person, he called me and said, every time I switch on my DSL modem, my dog barks. That was kind of funny. Um, See, earlier, what they used to do was, the telephone lines, as we have in India, they're not on the poles, crisscrossing the streets. they are laid well underneath the ground so it doesn't disturb anybody. So when the DSL cable was brought into his house, it crossed the path of the kennel that this person had his dog in. And unfortunately, when he pegged, um, he pegged in a beam or so that would hold the dog's chain, and that hit the cable that was underground. So every time he switched on the DSL modem, there's an electric shock that went through the beam to the dog, and the dog started barking. And it took so much effort for me to find out that particular reason. Imagine from a dial-up modem where somebody was using the disk reader as a coffee mug holder to a person who inadvertently had pegged his dog to a DSL cable, and it got received a shock every time he switched it on. Those type of tough situations were what I was handling at a point of time. And I don't know how many of you know a call center setup. Um, you have like 1,000 people sitting all together in a big hall. Everybody's having their headphones on with their mics on, and then they're looking at the computers, reading up customer profiles, reading up their comments and issues, their account details, and then trying to fix problems for them. So when there are 1,000 people, and then you're receiving like um, thousands of calls every hour, how would you make sure that your best person who knows the job gets the toughest calls? And that is what is called resource planning. And even during 2003 and 4, AI, or artificial intelligence, as we call it now, has had improved so much that although it was still in the nascent stages, it would look at your average handling time. What is the time you would take to resolve your problem? What is your customer satisfaction score? What type of customers called you? Was it for initial installation, or for doubt clearing, or uh, uh, is it for advanced technical issues? So based on all of these data-driven parameters, the switch, as we call it, would throw calls at you based on who is calling. It would map the customer to the capabilities of the agent and throw the call to that particular agent. So if I were a 3-month-old agent sitting on the floor, completely new to the process and trying to answer a tough scenario, it's not going to work out. Customer experience is lost at that moment. And what people do is they feed in all this data to the switch, and the switch decides if this caller tries to approach a customer service agent, then this is the agent that this call needs to, based on his average handling time, his resolution percentage, his experience on the floor, all of these things put together. So that was in Wipro, from being a completely new agent to a person who was solving high-tech technical issues, and that throw of the toughest calls was made by a computer sitting inside a switch. Now, fast forward again to 2006, when I joined a medical transcription team here in Coimbatore. I was there for 5 years, and I was handling the entire operations there. I had about 175 employees working under me, some of them like 10-year-old employees that knew the customer so well. Um, I don't know if you know what medical transcription is. Doctors, unlike in India, where they write a prescription which you don't understand at all, it's very difficult to decipher what they write. But in the US, you're supposed to keep a record of every patient that comes in, what is his or her medical history. What are the conditions? What are the allergies? What is the medication that was given? Everything needs to be recorded and kept in a file. And this started off in the 1990s, and when internet boom hit India in the 1990s, that's when medical transcription came to India as well. Because there were so many Indian doctors in the US, they thought if they were to pay like $5,000 to a nurse or an office assistant to write down all this detail, it's a waste of money. Imagine in the US, $5,000 is a lot of money. For us, it's 3.5 lakhs at least at this moment of time. So the doctor didn't want to spend so much time. So he asked his nephew or niece, whoever was available in India, okay, I'm going to call you, dictate this, please write it down, type it out on a computer and send back to me. And that's how medical transcription started. So slowly they started recording the medical record into a tape and sending that tape to India. And people here, transcriptionists here in India, would listen to that tape and type it out, make a clean record, and send it back to the US. And I was in the business managing it for 175 people. Now, if it were a new doctor that we signed up with, we would understand him, we take time to understand his accent, first of all. All of us know English, but then American accent is so different from the way we learned English. We learned English the British way, but American English is a lot different. So you have to understand the accent. Not only that, just like in Tamil Nadu, everybody speaks Tamil, but it's difficult to understand different dialects of Tamil. If you listen to Tamil in Chennai, Madurai, Tirunelveli, and Coimbatore, they're all going to be different, right? Different accents. Likewise, in the US, US as a country is bigger than India, although the population is lesser. But then you have these different dialects, northern, southern, western, midwestern, so many dialects. It's difficult to understand people's English, even though all of them speak English. So it takes a little bit of practice to hear, understand what the doctor is trying to say, and then type it out without any errors and send it back to him. But the quality at that time used to be 99%. Why? Because we had people who were 10 years old with the transcription company. They were doing transcription for the same doctor over and over again for the past 10 years. They literally knew what the doctor was going to say next, and they would have a template typed out and then just plug in details here and there, change measurements here and there, and the report is ready. And that's how we were able to make error-free documents. Now, again, when the work comes in from the doctor, it changed to digital digital audio recordings from the tapes. It was earlier. So we used to receive the dictations online through FTP. We download them here. Now you have to assign it manually. You're just a 175 people company. So there needed to be a person who understood what the doctor was trying to say, or somebody who had experience transcribing for that particular doctor. And there needs to be a person who knows which employee is the best fit for this doctor. So we'll have one allotment executive who will come in at 5 o'clock in the morning, download all the tapes or digital files that we've received, and assign it to different people here and there. So they can start their work as early as possible and finish, because some files had a 12-hour turnaround time. So this was again another sort of resource planning. And if you lost one of the employees in between for whatever reason, you have to train another resource all over again from the beginning. Teach him English, teach him the accent, teach him what the doctor would always use as a template. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time wasted on training a new resource. And that is where resource planning comes in and is so important in order for businesses to keep their customers happy and delighted. Now, let's look at what the definitions are. Um, for one, resource optimization is the set of processes and methods to match the available resources, be it the human resource or the machinery that you have or the financial resources that you have. You have to match these resources with the needs of the organization in order to achieve the organization's goals. So, resource optimization is a set of processes and methods to match the available resources, human, machinery, financial, with the needs of the organization to achieve established goals. So, in the examples that I have shared with you so far, you saw specific people being kept with the company in order to meet end results. It could be financial results, or the vision or mission of the company that needs to be achieved. So there are several things that management decides to do in order to retain a particular resource, because they are catering to customers that are either very demanding or highly paying, and they are potential to refer more and more customers. So that is one reason why companies engage in a lot of activities that revolve around their employees. Now, let me share with you a couple of things that we do at Personiv. Um, First of all, our quality as measured by the customer has been at 99.5 and above for the past 5 years consistently on an average. Why is this even possible? 99.5% quality is something we all try to achieve. And there are companies that are flourishing, like just as Dr. Sundar mentioned in the beginning. Why is Mercedes Benz so successful? Why is BMW so successful? Because their cars are manufactured at 12 sigma. You might have heard of 6 sigma. Their cars are manufactured at 12 sigma. So even if they crash, a death resulting from the crash is one in more than 6 million or so. Okay, so that's the kind of detail people put into the quality of work in such companies that helps them succeed over a long period of time. It's not about making money today and vanishing. There were several car companies, even in India, that tried to manufacture some cars, and then they ran into problems. They shut shop, and they are no more to be found. Maruti had so many issues in the beginning. When they started Maruti Udyog, and they had so many issues. Maruti 800 wasn't doing good just because it was a cost-effective car. It started selling, but it became a proper car only after it tied up with Suzuki of Japan. So Maruti Suzuki today is the number one car company in India. And although many of their variants don't pass any crash test, even in India, they do have a couple of good cars that are fit to pass the European crash test as well. Um, so every company that has a vision, every company that has a mission to achieve certain goals will definitely look at the way in which they treat their employees. There's a saying in our corporate community, employees are your first customers. You have to keep your customers happy. So if employees are your first customers, employees need to be kept happy for them to deliver quality goods and services to the customer, thereby retaining the customer for a longer duration of time. Um, Several of the customers that we work for have been with us for more than 10 years. I'm with Personiv for 10 years now. Some of the customers, have been with us even before I joined. And why do they still stick on with us? Some of them have even shifted their onshore control office functions to offshore in Coimbatore, and our people are handling the entire operations, including solving of queries. If some associate has a question, our internal employees have the capacity or the database to pull out the answers right then and there. We are being considered as partners with several customers rather than we being just their vendors. So whenever a decision needs to be taken, the customers, they consult us, and then with conjunction with our top management is when they go ahead and take us a lot of decisions. One example I can tell you is we work for one of the biggest advertising agencies in the US, which uh, also does the phone books. You used to have Just Dial or phone books given by BSNL. Right from that to online advertising, we have one customer that is number one in the US. Now, they did acquisition of a second best or second biggest company in the US. So when you conglomerate, then you become the largest. And before that decision was made, um, the site managers, including me, we were called to the US. We had a meeting. How are we going to do this? Because if you acquire a new company, there's more business coming in. Am I equipped to handle that business? Do I have the resources to handle that business? Do I have the space to handle those resources? So all of this was discussed. We planned it out, and over a period of 1 year, um, in fact, we were about 175 employees in 2015. In 2017, we were 1,300 employees because of this acquisition. And all of this happened because of the meticulous planning the customer did with us, considering us as a partner rather than a vendor. They could have easily gone to a TCS or an Accenture or a Wipro and said, I have about 1,000 employees that you have to hire and train and be ready for this business. But they respected the partnership. They understood that we'll be capable of delivering what they wanted, and they stuck with us. And if, as a business owner, I have to be successful and grow a company for 100 people, from 100 people to 1,000 people, then what do I have to do in order to achieve that? It starts with my first customer, the employees. So each of you who are doing your MBA will end up being in a team and then growing to lead a team. And I want you to ensure that your team members come first. There's a saying that the customer's always right. Yes, customer's always right when he is right. You need to ensure that your employees are taken care of, and what they feel and say needs to be taken care of in the right manner. And when you drive that team towards success, customer, when he says something, he can always be right. Your team will ensure that happens. At Persona, we consider that our people are our business, and we think that they are our pillar of strength. So we consider three pillars of strength. One is our people, because without our people, we are not a company. We have about 3,500 people across three delivery locations, two in India, in Coimbatore and Gurugram, one in the Philippines, in Manila. And all three delivery locations go by the same quality, people, and giving back, the three pillars that we have at Personiv. And our focus on these pillars ensures that we take care of our people and they take care of the quality of the business that we do. And both together, we will take care of our third pillar, which is giving back to the communities. When we take care of our communities, it becomes our responsibility, right? Because the community, in whatever little way it might have helped us, but definitely it has done its bit to help us be where we are today. And we should make it a point to give back to the community. And since we have that as a pillar at Personiv, and we pursue a lot of CSR activities, people are engaged. People think that there is some value addition to the work that you're doing at Personiv. Several companies have several different ways of retaining employees. I spent 5 years with Wipro, but there might have been somebody who might have spent like 1 year and then just moved on. Different people have different aspirations. The reason I joined Wipro was different. Why I stayed with Wipro for 5 years was different. Why I left Wipro was also different. And it was not just like that. It was after 5 years. And you need to develop, programs for your people when you join companies after your MBA, and become leaders in your own teams, to ensure that you plan your resources properly. You might have come across performance management already, I suppose. And there you would come across the bell curve. Um, do you know what a bell curve is? Has anyone read about it? Have you been taught what a bell curve is? Okay, good. I'll take it as a no then. So, bell curve is a graph which looks like a bell. You know what a bell is, right? Money. So a bell curve is something like this. So you have the 0 data point here and the 100 data point here, and then you rate your employees. Well, for a bell curve, for performance management, it is 0 to 5. So 0 here, 5 here, and then 0, 1, 2, 3 here, 4 here, and 5. So you have people between 0 and 5 that are rated during performance appraisal every year. 0 is does not meet requirement. 1 is needs improvement. 2 is does not meet expectation. 3 is meets expectation. 4 is exceeds expectation, and 5 is role model. So when you rate people that way, every company typically will have some people who do not meet expectation and needs to be chucked out of the company. And there will be a percentage of people that are role models, whom you want to retain and then move to the next level. They are your next set of managers, team leaders. And there are people in does not meet expectation category, that if you can put them on performance improvement plan, they will learn and then go to meets expectation category. Every company will have at least 60%. If it is an ideal operations company, then 60% of your employees will fall under the meets expectation category. And then you have 5% of does not meet expectation, or needs improvement, that needs to be sent out, and then 5% of role model. So 60 plus 5 plus 5 is 70. Another 30% will come into your two categories, which are needs improvement or does not meet expectation, that can be improved based on how you plan your performance improvement plans. And then there are experts that you want to retain because they are SMEs in your program, and you want to build a team around them. So even if a new person comes in, these persons will turn into trainers or coaches or buddies that can coach the new employees and bring them up to speed and bring them to that 60% category. So why I got into performance management is that, when you become a leader, you have to look at the 5 extremes. Always let go of people who are not trainable. And in corporate life, you have a term called attitude, right? It's a very ambiguous term. There are people who have the right capability, but the wrong attitude. These people are bad for your team. They will pull down your entire team. Even if somebody is trainable, somebody does not have the knowledge, but if he has the attitude to fight, learn, and come up in life, anybody can train him, and he'll be a star. But if you have somebody who's got all the knowledge but does not care what the team leader says, then that guy is not good for the company. So you'll have to look at that and weed out all those bottom 5% people. And then you have the top 5%. Do not rely on them, because either they're going to leave you or get promoted and go to a different team. The rest is what you need to focus on. They are your core team. And what is the majority of the people's feeling? What do they want? As a team leader, when you start small, I'm saying, as a team leader, you might have a mix of boys and girls, people with different aspirations. Some would like to go to the movies, some would like to just go chill in a park, just have coffee in a cafe. There are different things that motivates people. Some might want to go for a movie, and life beyond the four walls of the office is what matters most to all of the people. So at Personiv, we manage teams with a perfect, um, professional versus personal life balance. Earlier, before I joined, we used to have 10 hours of work for 6 days a week, which was, very tiresome. You can't do 10 hours for 6 days. And in fact, Labor Day, which we celebrated on May 1st, is a result of trade unions rising against American companies that made people work for more than 13 hours, 14 hours a day. So, having come a long way and then getting work from the US outsourced to us, doesn't make sense for us to work 10 hours a day for 6 days. If you were to travel to office, you have to add at least a couple of hours to it. So 12 hours minimum people would spend on work, and rest, you have to sleep minimum for 8 hours. What time do you have for the family? Nothing. So the first thing we did when I joined was to cut down those 6 days into 5 days. And 5 days, I kept it at 10 hours because our labor law demands that. Okay. Do you know what the labor law demands? Have you read that? How many of you are doing HR, MBA HR? No one? Okay.
It's the first
Our
year.
labor law says you have to do 48 hours a week. Okay. So if you do five days and 10 hours each, you will reach 50 hours, which is close to 48. And I don't press too much on the 10 hours or the break timing. So everything adds up. So that gives a lot of flexibility because you are spending 2 full days with your family. And that means a lot to a lot of us, right? Now with work from home, they're actually getting tired. Oh my God, it's been almost a year since I've been stuck at home. I need to go out, is what they're saying right now. So there needs to be a balance. Anything in excess, um, even if you have honey, excess honey, it's not going to stay well with you, right? It's not good for the tummy. So anything in abundance also is a problem. So you have to have a balance. And we do that at Personiv. Um, when I joined, there were only 32 employees that were shown to the labor office saying these are our regular employees. All the rest, more than 100 people were shown as contract employees. And no statutory benefits were given to them. Statutory benefits as in ESI, PF, Mediclaim, all of these things. So I changed all of that, and today 80% of our employees are kind of covered under ESI, and especially during this COVID times, ESI Hospital has given us assurance that these 80% people, along with their families, will be given preference because we pay ESI insurance. And the rest of the 20%, which were not cared for, which are either in the team leader or a manager category, because they go beyond the 21,000 rupee mark prescribed by the labor law. So these 20% people have Mediclaim insurance. Not only the employees, their dependents, wife or husband and children, and one set of parents, be the either parents or in-laws. All of them are covered. Um, when I brought this scheme in, it helps so many people. Most of our people were riding bikes at the time, and then somebody would go hit himself somewhere, and he had to get treated at a hospital, and Mediclaim and accident insurance would take care of that. And they were so thankful that happened. A couple of our employees had to undergo bypass surgery, and Mediclaim insurance helped them so much that they didn't have to spend anything from their pockets. These are some sort of things that glue those employees and those surrounding them to the company. See, when you're running a company or when you're running a team, no person is singular. Okay, he has his own group of people around him who will listen to him, who will support him. So every employee's voice matters, and when people um, are in a team, they need to be taken care of in that manner in order for the entire team to be cohesive and working towards that end goal. So these are a couple of people that came back to me with gratitude and said, thanks for doing this. It was a huge help. Now, it doesn't stop there. That person goes, tells another person that, okay, this is what happened to me, and I was helped because Personiv sponsored the insurance and I was covered. So there are several instances like this where employees become your messiahs. They carry the message around saying Persona does this, does that, and creates a positive vibe among the employees, ensuring that everybody is satisfied. They're looking forward to working with Persona. You know what the average tenure at Persona was before March 22, 2020? That's when we first went into lockdown. No, it was at 3.5% or so. Okay. Um, I can proudly say, after the COVID, it's not only because, people don't have opportunities that are plenty outside. There are still people who leave us for better opportunity and all of that. But our attrition has come down to 1.5% from 3.5%. Average tenure, people staying with us used to be 2.5 years before COVID. Today it is 3.5 years on an average. Imagine, having 1,000 people having 3.5 years. What does that bring to your organization? 3.5 years of experience working with one customer. You know the ins and outs of the business. You never make a mistake. Your quality is at 99.9. And that is what we have achieved in the past 5 years. There were 10 employees, 11 employees, including me, that were given 8-gram gold coins for completing 10 years with Persona. There were more than 100 people who got recognized for spending 5 years with Persona. What? Why are these people staying? It's because of the benefits that we develop after hearing their voice. We have the voice of the customer and the voice of the employee. We put together, we bring in plans that keep employees glued to us. So if you go to Facebook or YouTube, I'm sure you're all you know very social media savvy. So if you go check out what Persona does, you will only see celebration. You will only see dances and performances and our giving back activities, because that's who we are. work is a byproduct, and that only gives us money, but it happens so uh, you know, it, unconsciously. It's ingrained, it's in our DNA that we produce quality work. And because we do that, we retain a lot of customers who bring in more references and increase our business. And because of which we were able to pay our employees, even though we sent them home last year without any work, because we weren't ready with laptops and infrastructure to help people work from home. So a couple of hundred of them need to be sitting at home just like that, waiting for computers to be given to them, but we still paid them full salary. Why are we able to do that? Because one, we take care of our people. People are our business. We are here because of our people. Two, the people took care of our customers, and customers are happy. And even though we are in a very bad situation, customers are happy to give us the dollars that we need to pay our people. So it's a cycle that keeps repeating itself. If only you put in positive things, you can reap the positive things back, and that keeps happening over and over again. And no wonder, our quality is 99.5% and above on an average for the past 5 years. Another thing we did quite recently, which has gotten very good feedback, is about um, COVID and all that panic around COVID. Last year, it was not a big issue because everybody was staying at home. It was a complete lockdown. None of my employees got sick and they did not get affected. But unfortunately, since January 4th this year, we started bringing in about 30% of employees into the office because some of them had very choppy internet connections, no broadband available, and then some were living in a one-room house where the entire family used to sleep. And this person, if they work night shift, would be a disturbance for the entire family. So several reasons behind that. So we bought 30% in. Unfortunately, they had to mingle with the public while using public transport before getting into Personiv buses. And somehow their family members got affected, and 11 of our employees are affected with COVID. And fortunately, we identified it at the initial stages, and they themselves came forward and said, my father is COVID positive, my mother is COVID positive, my aunt is COVID positive. So they self-isolated, stopped the spread. So before we went into full lockdown again, I was able to send back all the 30% home. Not only that, Personiv has blocked 5 beds that are available right now. If at all any of our employees or their dependents test COVID positive and are searching for a bed, which is, I don't want those beds to be occupied, but it's an insurance policy I have given to my team that they need not worry. There is help available whenever they need it. And those sort of things are what you will need, because if you're building a team that's good at something, you need to retain that team. Only if you do that, you'll be able to retain your customer, and the customer will be happy, customer will be delighted, your money keeps coming in, your team becomes successful, and you're doing the right resource planning. Okay, I hope I was able to articulate to you um, enough detail about resource planning and why it is important and how you can do it with the various examples through certain points in my career. I hope it will be useful for you, and you can use it whenever required when you get into teams, when you start managing your teams. And I hope you are successful. Wish you all the best for the